Michael, I had to retire the sticks, as you know, when you brought me out of retirement to do this here program.
Yes,
so
right.
I thought you'd be
Glad
interested,
I did.
You know, little Madden fix for you. That welcome to the 99 Club. Long overdue, but Russell Wilson is now a 99 overall rating on Madden. Previously, only Patrick Mahomes was a 99 quarterback. I think Russ was a 97, but 19 touchdown passes and 1,500 yards and an undefeated record. We'll get you that. I knew that was the way to get Dr. Jason Johnson in the mood. Not that you ever need energy. You must be, I know you on cloud nine because you get an extra week to enjoy being undefeated. Your Seahawks are on a bye. So you get to sit on 5-0 for a second. How you feeling?
Yes. I'm feeling great. I mean, like, it's a heart attack every week. they for some reason seem to come up with one halfway decent stop. I think they have had, I think the Seahawks defense has produced more turnovers than like punts so far this season in 5 games. But it doesn't matter. We're 5-0. We're going to come back. We're going to spank the Cardinals. I'm not worried until we face the Rams. I never want to call for anybody being fired, especially not a black coach. They probably need to do something about Ken Norton Jr., but as long as Russ is playing the way he is, the only team I'm concerned about in the entire NFC is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers if we have to go play in Green Bay as opposed to them coming to Seattle.
Look at you, man. You're getting ahead of you are so far ahead of yourself. This is crazy. Hey, I gotta know, though, before Russell, because you're all about Russell right now, before him, who was your guy in Seattle? Like, I'm sure you had a player you said, okay, was it Dave Craig? I'm like, who was it?
No. I'm very clear. I always rooted for teams with a black coach and a black quarterback. So the first team I ever loved was Denny Green and Randall Cunningham with the Minnesota Vikings. And then when they fell apart, I became an Eagles fan in like 99, and I rode McNabb for 14 years. And then right around the time that the Eagles got rid of McNabb, I was like, I got to find another team with a black quarterback. And I was literally deciding between the Seahawks and the 49ers with Kaepernick, and I picked the Seahawks in Russell Wilson's rookie year, and that's turned out to be good for me.
Oh, my God. You're a nomad, Phelps. You would take an academic, Professor Morgan, you would take an academic approach to selecting a team. I love it. I'm thinking you had roots in Seattle or might ask you the right question. You know, where did this come from? I mean, so no, that makes sense. But so, okay, let's keep talking about your team for the time being until Russ retires, and then you got to go find Justin Fields' team or somebody.
Exactly. LeBron's son probably is what I'll be rooting for.
Let's talk about this 22-year-old monster averaging 22 yards a catch, man. DK Metcalf, all right? I mean, listen, I remember when he was coming out and he was all shredded. He was shredded in the Julian salad, man. Right. Like coming out of Ole Miss, he was all rocked up and whatnot. I mean, people are talking about him like he baby T.O. I mean, the praise for him is through the roof, man. I mean, he's the real deal.
Michael, like last year...
Megatron. Look at Jamal Adams talking about he's Megatron.
Yeah. Like last year, Michael, Seahawks fans didn't know if he was ever going to be a good route runner. We thought he'd be our sort of Doug Baldwin, Hines Ward, possession receiver, fight you for the ball, but doesn't get much yak, right? He got all the yak now. I mean, he's snatching the ball. He's running with it. He made the big sort of Deshaun Jackson mistake with losing that one touchdown about 2 games ago. But DK Metcalf is turning out to be the truth. And I think right now, and this is not to slam Tyler Lockett. I can't stand when people say there's not a good receiving core for the Seahawks. Seahawks have an incredible receiving core. Between DK and Tyler Metcalf, I think they got a top 2 or 3 receiving core in the league. The only other people who will be close might be the Steelers and maybe the Minnesota Vikings. And really, Russell Wilson is playing better than either of those quarterbacks right now. DK is my next Funko Pop that's going to be behind me in my office. That's how good he's playing.
Okay.
Now, listen, I got to ask you, I got to figure out what's going on in the United States of America. But before I get there, I got to ask you another sports question. I got to ask you about LeBron. Where do you weigh in now? LeBron's got 4 championships, 4 finals MVPs. The whole GOAT conversation has come up. Where do you weigh in?
You said you had a sermon. I saw you tweeted the other day.
Let's go.
You had a sermon ready for us.
We're ready.
I got to tell you, I knew LeBron was going to get it done. I knew LeBron was going to be the man. Look, I don't think people understand the significance. Thank you for showing the tweet. I don't think people understand the significance of what LeBron did. And every time he does something, how it sets the path for everybody else. Going into this season, right? Everybody thought that what LeBron did this year was going to be accomplished by a guy 8 years younger than him. We all thought this was going to be Kawhi. Kawhi is going to be the first person to win a ring on 3 different squads, MVP on 3 different squads. LeBron does that. It's not just that. It's his year 17. He carried AD, who still don't have the heart of a tiger, more like a heart of a kitty cat. He did it after a season that basically, I'm sorry, AD ain't really got it. He ain't really got it. LeBron made Frank Vogel into a functional coach. LeBron took he took Dwight Howard, who had been a mess for the last 5 seasons. He took Rondo, who couldn't seem to get along with anybody, and turned them into quality off-the-bench championship-level players. This man is the Pat Riley on the court. He brings together any team, accomplishes anything, makes them his acolytes, his disciples, and brings home the goal. I will never get caught into any of these conversations about the GOAT. LeBron is the most important player in the history of the NBA if you look at what he's accomplished this year on and off the court.
Oh, Pastor. Look, you know how when you're in church, every now and then the pastor will say something that you'll make you kind of look at the person next to you like, did he just say that? Okay, wait. Where do we start with this? First of all, I'm surprised you didn't say he turned water into wine. You act like these grown men ain't had nothing to do with their own performance. Like they touched the hem of LeBron's garment and all of a sudden they were transformed, Michael Holley. I mean, come on, man. Like, we all love LeBron, but come on now.
Both of y'all preaching now. Both of y'all preaching. Go ahead.
I needed an organ in the background, and I would have been ready to go.
I'll be honest. I got the Hammond. I got the Hammond B3. I got it.
I saw your tweet. He's the most. You said 2 I words. You said he's the most important and most influential player of all time. Pastor, please elaborate.
So here's the thing. Michael Jordan was the best and the most dominant. I don't think you can take away essentially 6 years of running a league and just being so much better than anybody else. There was no one you could ever argue was remotely close to Michael Jordan. And it's not like he was playing against a bunch of scrubs, right? I mean, he was playing against Reggie Miller. He was playing against, sort of early Shaq. He played against some great players. But LeBron, if you look at what he's done to contracts, if you look at what he's done to mobility, if you look at what he's done to player influence, if you look at what he's done for player empowerment, if you look at what he's done for player politics, there is no player in the history of the NBA who's done all that. Michael Jordan showed you how to make money if you happen to be Michael Jordan. LeBron James has shown you can be like me. You can never be like Mike. You couldn't have the skills like Mike. You didn't have the coach like Mike. LeBron said you can be like me on any team if you're willing to work your contract a different way, work your social media a different way, and take your influence from squad to squad when it suits you, not just when it suits management. There's never been anybody who's done that. And this guy feeds everybody.
Hey, man, look.
I didn't bring my wallet with me, Michael. You got donations. Like I got that for the collection plate. That was something.
I got something that doesn't make noise. None of those coins. Okay, we got some bills going in there. But listen, take the transcript of what you just said. You got the prologue right there to the book. You already got it. Come on, Doc. I buy it though. I buy it. Okay, this is what I need to know. You said it sounds great. Sounds great. Everything you said.
I was gonna argue with it. That was hard to argue.
This is what it comes down to. You've got one pick. You got one pick to make. You're starting the franchise. Are you going with Jordan or are you going with LeBron?
Oh, that's easy. That's always LeBron. It's always LeBron. LeBron is a foundation piece because he's a positionless player. If I start with LeBron, I got a point guard, I got a power forward, I got a small forward, I have a 3-point skill player. If you count LeBron, say past 2013, I have my team leader already. If you give me peak LeBron versus peak Jordan, right? Let's say peak Jordan is 96, peak LeBron is 2012, 2013. I would always start my franchise with peak LeBron. LeBron can turn mediocre players into Hall of Famers. Would anybody have cared about stat stuff and Kevin Love if it weren't for LeBron? No. LeBron made Delly look good. LeBron made Kyrie look good. LeBron made AD look good. Jordan can't do that. He scares people off of the squad.
Stop.
Oh,
See,
man.
I got to get up and
Go ahead, Mike.
This
Go ahead.
is the part where the church got to walk out. First of all, peak Jordan ain't 96. That's not peak Jordan. Let's fix
92.
that. Peak Jordan
Say
was
92. Say it's 92.
At least 90, like 92. Like, okay, come on now. Let's get a man some respect. Secondly, when you start, this what gets on my nerves with people. Like, you can celebrate LeBron and its all-around brilliance and how unselfish he is. Don't act like Michael Jordan didn't make his teammates better, even if it required him punching them in the face. He made people better. LeBron was Michael Jordan was an exceptional all-around player. I keep saying his all-around greatness gets underrated because people like you, Dr. Jason Johnson, y'all want to reduce his brilliance to his scoring as if that's all he did. He might have done it better than anybody that ever played the game, but that ain't all he did. Now, come on, show some respect. That's sacrilegious on your part.
Mike has questioned my basketball, and like Jordan, and I took that.
I'm not questioning your basketball. I'm just taking exception to what you said.
Here's the thing. Jordan was an amazing. Like I said, I still think that run he is the best player. But if you look at if you look at what LeBron is able to do, Jordan made other players better because he sucked up so much of the defense and he sucked up so much of the attention of the opposing coaching staff that other people got to flourish. But it's not because he necessarily trained them. It's not because he taught them how to play the game. It's not because he was distributing the ball the best. It's because he sucked everything up. And he was so good that other people also didn't take the heat. I mean, look, if you ask me as a player, who would I rather play with? Like, see, y'all, Holly asked me as a GM. As a GM, as a team president, as a coach, I would start with LeBron. If you ask me as a player, I don't know. That might be a coin flip because as a player, I know with Jordan, I'm never going to take any heat. I know that we win or lose with him. No one's ever going to be dragging me on Twitter, right? But with LeBron, we all know when LeBron fails, it's his teammates that take the heat.
Hold on, Mike. Because, see, I'm sorry. And I know we got to listen.
So
I know, listen, I know Dr. Jason Johnson, Morgan State professor, MSNBC contributor. We're supposed to be talking about, Supreme Court nominee hearings. But hold on. We got to have a meeting in the pastor's office about this. Hold on. And another thing. I hear you about the influential part. I do. You're right. From his political activism, no argument there. Empowerment when it comes to taking his career in his own hands, no argument there. But there is no LeBron. There is no Kobe. This entire generation of NBA players, the NBA as we know it is built on Michael Jordan. The idea of a black pitchman, the idea of a black man being the face of a corporation from an advertising and a marketing standpoint comes from Michael Jordan. So I know we want to say Republicans buy his shoes too. I got it. But let's not act like Michael Jordan's influence is still not being felt today when it comes to player as entrepreneur, player as brand. It's still being felt today. So I just need to point that out. I mean, I'm not questioning your scripture. I just want to introduce that aspect to it.
Okay, here's the thing though. Jordan did take that to another level. But if you want to talk about the black man as pitchman, we can go back to OJ running through an airport for Hertz. We can talk about Kareem being in an airplane. We can talk about Magic. I mean, Magic going, I think it was to British Knights instead of Reebok. Like, those things were being set
but Nike and Jordan was another level, though. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Nike and Jordan was another level. He might not have been the first black pitchman. No, absolutely not. But Nike and Jordan, that was a different level when it came to their marriage to Michael Jordan. I just wanted to go back and forth with the doctor on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Holly.
We can get into that another time. But okay, let me ask you about that. I got to ask, because this is great. You got to come back another time.
Because he got Storm on his chest. Don't think I didn't see that.
I wore this just for you. I wore this just for you, but you brought the line on. So,
it's the 74 X-Men. I appreciate that.
This is his version of like battle rap. Like he's going to see if you can raise your game. You know what I mean? So look, Doc, I got to ask you about these hearings that are going on right now. They're hearings in one sense, and then Lindsey Graham is turning into like a campaign speech. Ted Cruz is doing this podcast.
Right.
What do you make, though? What do you make of the hearing so far?
It's funny, and I tweeted this yesterday. I know Lindsey Graham does not believe in socialism, but why is he letting Jamie Harrison live rent-free in his head? Like every single time Lindsey Graham asks a question, he's talking about how he's being outraised. He's talking about how he's in danger. He's talking about how the Democrats are coming after him. He has literally used the hearings to complain about the fact that he could very likely lose his seat. So Lindsey Graham has been a joke. Ted Cruz is asking Amy Coney Barrett all these ridiculous personal questions. You know, what's your favorite book? What's your favorite color? Et cetera, et cetera. Here's Holly. Honestly, this is the frustrating thing about all of it. None of it matters. She's going to get affirmed. She's going to get confirmed because there are more Republicans than Democrats in the Senate. That's it. There's no question about it. The Democrats can try to slow the process, and they haven't. And I think they should. I think if I were Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate, I would just not show up. What difference does it make? I would let them vote in an empty room and show how ridiculous they're being. We already know that she's basically, training to be Offred from A Handmaid's Tale and get on the Supreme Court. But that's what makes the whole thing frustrating, to watch a hearing where the conclusion is already known. And you only just hope that the Democrats can win the Senate and reverse some of this stuff when they get in office.
Yeah, I was saying that what is it, like I saw the Times said about 14 Senate races are competitive, and they need five to take the majority. So that's something to root for, so we don't have to sit through this kind of madness again.
Exactly.
What's fascinating, but you're right. What's fascinating is that it's a job interview that she's already got. Like, she doesn't have to come clean on where she stands on the positions, because we know she's not sitting there if it weren't obvious where she stood on the Affordable Care Act, on Roe versus Wade, on gay marriage. We already know how she's going to come down on it. What's interesting, though, Jason, this is not my concern, but I think this is all that really matters, because you're right. This is not a process so much as it is a production, a performance by Senate Republicans right now. So we already know what's happening here. We know that it's their prerogative to put somebody on the court. It's the president's prerogative. It's the majority's prerogative to put somebody on the court who from a conservative standpoint, sees things the way they do on these issues. The one outstanding issue, though, is this idea of the president wanting the court to look at the ballots. Yes. Look at the ballots for what exactly? Like, if he's not going to, acquiesce or concede, or whatever words you want to use when it comes to the election, if he's not going to go out quietly, not going to adhere to the traditional peaceful transfer of power, and he's going to take this to the Supreme Court with 6 of his justices on there, or 6 Republican conservative justices on there, what exactly are they looking at? Because the only voter fraud is being committed by the GOP. What would they be looking at if they actually took this to the Supreme Court?
So Michael, here's the end game. And this is why, if Joe Biden and Senator Harris manage to get themselves in the White House, that is the beginning of what's going to be probably a generation-long battle to actually clean up our Constitution. I've said this with you guys before. Our Constitution is nothing. It's an NFL contract. It's trash. It's a gentleman's agreement. And you can see it in something like Amy Coney Barrett. The reality is, if I was convicted, right, or I was convicted of something but not thrown in jail, I shouldn't get to pick my jury. I shouldn't get to pick my judge. The fact that Donald Trump got impeached and is still able to pick a judge that could potentially be ruling on his own behavior is ridiculous. That wouldn't be allowed for any of us. And the real concern is that if the Republican Party in the 2020 election decides, after November, if they decide, hey, look, in Michigan, let's say the Republican state legislature says, we don't think these 20,000 votes are valid, so we don't think the state goes to Joe Biden. We're going to pick electors that vote for Trump, even though the majority of the state seems to want something else. And the Supreme Court would then eventually have to rule. And if you go by the letter of the law, which is electors from states don't have to be chosen by the popular vote. It's a suggestion, not a requirement. You could literally steal the entire presidential election on the Electoral College, and the Supreme Court could rubber stamp it. That's why Amy Coney Barrett is important. That's why she is a problem, because she can help hand this election to Donald Trump by disputing ballots that anybody in their right mind knows are legitimate. That's why this whole thing is dangerous. That's why it's really important that people go out and vote by such large margins. Look, it's real easy to steal 5,000 votes. What's the line from Die Hard? If you steal $100,000, they may come looking for you. You steal 100 million, they'll find you unless they think you're already dead. You can steal an election that's 10,000 votes. But if people win these states by 50 and 60,000, it'll be harder for the Republicans to steal it and harder for them to put it in the hands of the Supreme Court.
And my goodness, Michael Holley, if they're not making it hard for people, they're cutting power lines. They're having phony ballot boxes.
Okay,
I mean, Michael Holley, can you believe the lengths that people are going to try to steal this election, Michael?
Mike,
no, it's an accident. Right. Sorry, my bad.
It just kind of happened. But, you know, Doc, I want to ask you this. I don't know if you had any opinions when Scalia was alive about his originalist take. I'm an originalist. And then, you know, Amy Coney Barrett talking about I'm a textualist. I'm an originalist, too. Just what's your opinion on it? Because I think this position, it sounds good on the surface. I think it is fraught with issues. Do you have any opinion on originalists and that whole take?
Yeah, so like when I was in grad school, they call it attitudinal versus legalism. It's basically, do you read the letter of the law or do you interpret what the law wanted to say? It's all nonsense because we're not robots, right? like if the law was just about reading exactly what the word said, then we wouldn't need judges. We would throw it in a computer and Teletran one would spit it back out and we would know what they were talking about. Right? At the end of the day, this is all based on everybody's attitude. So when she says, oh, I want to read the Constitution for how it was originally written, it was originally written for a woman like you to never have this job. Okay, it was originally written for none of us to be here. Exactly. So it's an absolute nonsense, disingenuous way to interpret the law. And I want to point this out about where Barrett will really go once she's on the court. We already know she's against abortion rights. We already know that she's against worker rights. But when you read about the fact that this woman ruled in a discrimination suit at a job, this man was being called the N-word by his boss, and she ruled that does not create a hostile work environment, and she's raising some black children. She's a problem, complete problem.
Yeah. And listen, I was born that night, but not last night. It is like, you know, I think it was the senator from Missouri. His name I forget. I'm watching it today. He's like, there is nothing wrong with having a Christian, pro-life woman on the Supreme Court. It's like they say it about her beliefs. She can have her beliefs, but when she applies those beliefs at the expense of somebody else's rights who doesn't believe what she believes, you know, it's the shame of it all. You know, speaking of Amy Klobuchar going in every time she can about it. The shame of it all, they shouldn't be having this conversation, and they keep trying in vain to appeal to Republicans' sensibilities or sense of morality, keep saying, hey, we got people literally dying, suffering, businesses closing. Why are we ramming through this confirmation when we should be passing stimulus relief? They're like, huh? What? Wait, what? Huh? What? It's just, it's disappointing to watch, Doc.
Michael, Mitch McConnell was laughing about that in his debate with Amy McGrath. She was
see that?
Hey, we got 200,000 people who have died of this disease and folks out there starving, losing homes, et cetera, and he's laughing like the Crypt Keeper. I mean, like most of these guys don't really care about what's going on in the country because what they recognize is that if you have the right justices in place, look at what just happened in Texas, right? You got the Republican Governor Abbott saying that Harris County, which has 2 million voters, can only have one drop-off site. Like I said, that's like saying every single red box in all of America has to be delivered to Cleveland, right? Like it's that ridiculous to say all those voters have to go to one place. But why was that approved? Because a Trump-appointed judge said that that's a decision that was appropriate. So this judge thing is real. Black folks need to be clear about what their rights are going to be under this administration. And I have to say this because it's important to me. I'm mad at Ice Cube for saying he's going to work with Donald Trump on this platinum plan, because the more brothers out there who are naive enough to believe that this white nationalist cares anything about you are black folks that are shooting themselves in the foot. No Vaseline.
You know what, bro? It's called the Platinum Plan. It's called the Platinum Plan. Like, do we need to, I mean, come on. Like, do we need any more evidence of what this dude is really about?
And you know what, Mike and Doc Johnson, man, we might have to quote Ice Cube's lyrics to him when he was trying to clown Easy. I never had dinner with the president. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. So now you're about to work with him.
You need to tweet that. I never had dinner with the president, because that's exactly it. That's exactly it. He was screaming about Bush 25 years ago when Easy-E was doing this. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And again, Michael, as you were pointing out, even the name, the Platinum Plan, is sort of lowbrow insulting. I mean, might as well call it the good cushion alcohol healthcare deal. Like, you think that that's the only thing that black folk are going to respond to. You know, I mean, but Cube and a lot of these brothers, you know, they're caught up by whatever is shiny and getting their money on. And look, if Ice Cube was just a Republican, I'm down with it. But the real issue is that Ice Cube was sitting there saying for 5 months, oh, I don't know what the Democrats have to offer. It's right there in front of you. It's a lift everybody. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. But don't say there ain't no plan so that you can go cozy up to Donald Trump.
It's funny. We ended the show yesterday, and Michael Smith got on me. He said, man, you can't be bringing this up at 4:50. But I was making
Dude, it was 4:55. It was 4:55, and he wants to go in on black Trump supporters. At 4:55.
It was 4:51. No, but Jason, I was not talking about the black.
We needed time.
I was not talking about black Trump supporters. I was talking about the hilarious. I don't know if you've seen these ads. I know you have. Of these, hey, black people, I was an Obama voter, but now I'm all like these. They're lying, Jason. They are lying.
They're lying. And here, I will tell you all. You all can probably guess. I know black Trump supporters. I know black Republicans, and I tend to make a distinction between the two. Right? I know a lot of brothers and sisters who are Republicans. I've worked with them for years. I've known them for years. But this ad, which runs during NFL games, I saw it like 5 times, and they keep throwing out all these black people. Here's what doesn't work about this. One, we already know from the Trump campaign that they consistently use black faces that don't even know they're being used. Right? Like, they pay people to show up. They use faces and images that aren't necessarily people who are agreeing with it. But here's the other thing. Ain't no pastor sitting in the middle of my Seahawks game gonna convince me that a man who's calling for white nationalists to attack me at the polls, who said that my people are garbage, who says that my answers are from S-hole countries, none of these people are gonna convince anybody to vote. And we have to remember that they're not trying to get black people to vote for Trump. That's the sneaky part. It's not about trying to get black people to vote for Trump. It's about trying to get black men in particular to say that there's no difference between Trump and Biden, and therefore they will stay home. They don't want our votes. They want our apathy. And that's where those commercials come from, because everything in that ad is an absolute lie. Trump ain't brought nobody else out of jail. Everything Jeff Sessions done, everything William Barr has done, they've gotten rid of consent decrees, more black people being shot and killed. Every single one of these instances that we've seen of black folks being shot, abused by police or vigilantes in the last year and a half, where's the Trump administration been? Where's the DOJ been? Where have they been when it comes to bringing any of these people to justice? They're out there trying to turn Daniel Cameron into the next Clarence Thomas. And trust me, he'll probably put him on the Supreme Court if he can once he's done with his wedding. So let's be clear that Donald Trump and all these advertisements ain't about us. It's about his own people and making us forget our own power.
The doors of the church are open. See, because as a preacher's grandson, I know not to follow up a sermon with another sermon. We're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that there, and we're gonna call for offering. We're gonna go to break. Jason, say, bro, always a pleasure, man. Every Wednesday,
pleasure, guys.
Our favorite day of the week. Appreciate you, man.